Hey there, history buffs. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of history, exploring the most well-known historical figures and why they're known. So, let's get started. But before we begin, subscribe to help us grow our channel. First up, we have Julius Caesar. He's renowned for his military conquests and his role in the Roman Empire. But did you know that he was also a talented writer and poet? His works, including the Gallic Wars, are still studied today. Then, we have Napoleon Bonaparte. He's known for his military prowess and his role in the French Revolution. But did you know that he was also a talented artist and a lover of the arts? He even designed his own coat of arms, which featured a bee, a symbol of industry and hard work. We have Queen Elizabeth I. She's famous for her reign during the Elizabethan era and her role in the English Reformation. But did you know that she was also a talented writer and a lover of the arts? She even wrote her own plays, which were performed at court. Stick around until the very end, and you'll uncover the powerful, in-depth stories behind why each person rose to fame. Don't forget to subscribe to help us grow our channel. Today, we're going to dive into the fascinating life story of Julius Caesar, a Roman general and statesman who made a lasting impact on the world. So, let's get started. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to help us grow our channel. In the annals of history, few names echo with the thunderous weight of destiny quite like Gaius Julius Caesar. Born in 100 BC, under the shadows of Rome's ever-expanding republic, he would come to embody its glory and its undoing. From the narrow, chaotic streets of the Suburra district, where ambition often bloomed like fire, Caesar rose with a firebrand will and an intellect that shimmered with the brilliance of 10,000 stars. His early years were marked by turmoil and danger. In an era of civil unrest, Caesar aligned himself with the populares, the champions of the common people, defying the entrenched aristocracy, the optimates. Even as a young man, he was already brushing shoulders with peril. After refusing to divorce his wife Cornelia at the demand of the dictator Sulla, Caesar fled Rome and joined the army, where he began to carve his name in the minds of men with valor and cunning. Don't forget to subscribe to help us grow our channel. But it was not merely the sword that lifted Caesar into the pantheon of the immortals. It was the scope of his ambition, the depth of his charisma, and the majesty of his vision for Rome. Returning from military service, he began to ascend the cursus honorum, Rome's ladder of political power. He proved to be a master orator, his voice as sharp and golden as the laurel crown he would one day claim. With political acumen unrivaled, he formed the first triumvirate with Pompey the Great and Crassus, a secret alliance that made the Roman Republic tremble with unseen hands steering its fate. Then came Gaul. It was in the vast, wild lands beyond the Alps that Julius Caesar transformed from a brilliant politician to an unstoppable force of nature. For nearly a decade, he waged relentless war, not only expanding Rome's borders but etching his name in blood and glory across Europe. His commentary De Bello Gallico, his own account of the Gallic Wars, was not just a record of conquest, it was a declaration of genius. Caesar subdued countless tribes, crossed rivers and mountain ranges once thought impassable, and even invaded Britain, pushing the reach of Rome beyond the imagination of his peers. But ambition is a cruel god, and Caesar would not stop. Don't forget to subscribe to help us grow our channel. When the Senate, gripped by fear, demanded he relinquish his command, he crossed the Rubicon with a single legion and a single, defiant phrase, Bellia apta state, the die is cast. With that step, he plunged Rome into civil war, marching not only across the land but straight into destiny. He emerged the victor, and by 46 BC, he was declared dictator, perpetual dictator for life. It was in this moment of supreme power that Caesar's genius and flaws intermingled most vividly. He enacted sweeping reforms, restructured debt, reformed the calendar, giving us the Julian calendar that endures to this day, and granted citizenship to many in the far reaches of the Republic. He began to dream of a Rome reborn, not as a fragile republic but a glorious empire under the guidance of a single, divine ruler. But the heartbeat of Rome was ancient and proud, and it could not bear the weight of a king. Don't forget to subscribe to help us grow our channel. On the Ides of March, 44 BC, beneath the cold marble gaze of Pompey's statue, Caesar fell. Betrayed by those he called friends, Brutus among them, he was stabbed 23 times by the very Senate he had once tried to uplift. His final words, et tutus, whether history or poetry, hang in the air like a ghostly breath, capturing the tragic grandeur of his end. Yet Caesar did not die. Not truly. His death ignited a firestorm that consumed the Republic. His heir, Octavian, later Augustus, would carry his legacy forward and become Rome's first emperor. Caesar's spirit became divine in the eyes of the Roman people. Statues were raised, temples built, and the month of July renamed in his honor. Julius Caesar was not merely a man. He was a force of nature, a tempest, a vision in flesh. His life was ablaze across the firmament of time, and though he fell beneath a cascade of daggers, his shadow still lingers, long and undeniable, over the world he helped to shape. Don't forget to subscribe to help us grow our channel. Today, we're going to dive into the life and accomplishments of one of history's most iconic figures, Napoleon Bonaparte. So, buckle up, and let's explore the life of this remarkable conqueror. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, help us grow our channel. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in Corsica in 1769. A child of modest nobility in a land torn between independence and submission to France. From those rocky island beginnings, none could have foreseen that he would one day rise to command the fate of Europe, to crown himself emperor, and to leave a mark on history that time could never quite erase. From an early age, he was marked by brilliance, a calculating mind, and a fiery ambition that burned brighter than the stars above Ajaccio. He entered military school in France, an outsider with a thick Corsican accent and little money, but he rose quickly, propelled by his unmatched aptitude for strategy and the iron force of his will. By the age of 24, he was a general, his name already whispered with a mix of awe and dread. His meteoric rise began with his stunning campaign in Italy, where he took a ragged army and transformed it into a blade of conquest. Against the Austrians, he did not merely win battles, he reshaped the map. It was not luck, nor even boldness, but genius. He fought not as generals had before him, but with a new kind of warfare, fast, mobile, ruthless, almost poetic in its choreography. Don't forget to subscribe to help us grow our channel. Egypt followed. Though the campaign was strategically flawed, it birthed the legend of Napoleon the Visionary, the explorer, the man who looked beyond Europe toward empire and eternity. And when he returned to France, he found the Republic weakened, fractured. It was there, in a coup d'etat swift as a sword stroke, that he seized power. In 1799, he became first consul. By 1804, he was emperor. He crowned himself at Notre Dame, in a moment both symbolic and defiant. No pope or monarch would place authority upon him. He was authority, and under his rule, France flourished. He reformed the legal system with the Napoleonic Code, a body of civil law that endures to this day, not just in France but across the globe. He restructured education, centralized government, and created a meritocracy that shattered the old aristocratic order. But his most enduring theater was the battlefield. At Austerlitz, he achieved what many consider his greatest victory, defeating the combined might of Russia and Austria in a single, masterful blow. At Jena, at Wagram, at Friedland, he moved like lightning, a master of deception and maneuver, turning armies into dust and kings into refugees. He redrew borders and toppled thrones, not for chaos, but to forge Europe in his image. To subscribe to help us grow our channel. Yet, like Icarus, he soared too high. The Russian campaign was his great unraveling, a descent not of power, but of hubris. The Grand Army, once so unstoppable, perished in snow and fire, and from those ashes rose the coalitions that would hunt him across Europe. He fell in 1814, exiled to Elba, only to return like a specter of fate, raising an army once more in the fabled 100 Days. Waterloo was his final stand. A masterful strategist, betrayed by weather, chance, and the iron will of his enemies. He fell again, this time for good, and was sent to the windswept rock of St. Helena, where he would live out his days in exile, dreaming of glory, rewriting history in his mind as the Atlantic roared outside his window. But Napoleon Bonaparte was more than a general, more than an emperor. He was a force of nature, a symbol of possibility and peril, a man who shaped and aged through the sheer magnitude of his ambition. Even now, centuries later, his name evokes a strange fire mingling of triumph and tragedy, of genius and downfall. He did not merely live. He ignited the world. Don't forget to subscribe, help us grow our channel.
This story of how a young woman became queen. and it begins in a castle. During political and religious upheaval in England, a child was born that would go on to become a great queen. And one of the country's most celebrated monarchs was sent away from the royal court and lived a relatively isolated life. However, she was fortunate to receive an excellent education. She studied a wide range of subjects, including history, languages, mathematics, and politics. Elizabeth's teachers recognized her quick wit and love for learning, nurturing her intellectual growth. As Elizabeth grew older, the political landscape of England changed. Her father remarried, and she gained a half-sister, Mary, and a half-brother, Edward. Both siblings would eventually ascend the throne, but Elizabeth's destiny remained uncertain. Elizabeth's father, King Henry VIII, dies, and her half-brother, Edward VI, ascends to the throne. Edward VI dies, and Elizabeth's half-sister, Mary I, becomes queen. King Edward VI died of tuberculosis on July 6, 1553, at the age of 15. Edward had been King of England since 1547, following the death of his father, King Henry VIII. During his short reign, Edward was a committed Protestant and worked to advance the cause of the English Reformation. He issued a number of religious reforms that promoted Protestantism and sought to reduce the power of the Catholic Church in England. Edward's reign was marked by political instability and religious conflict, as various factions vied for power and influence in his government. After Edward's death, his half-sister, Mary I, succeeded him to the throne and sought to reverse many of his religious reforms, leading to a period of persecution of Protestants known as the Marian persecutions. Queen Mary I, also known as Mary Tudor or Bloody Mary, is best known for her efforts to restore Catholicism to England during her brief reign from 1553 to 1558. Mary, daughter of King Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, was a devout Catholic. After ascending to the throne, she tried to reverse the religious reforms that had been implemented during her half-brother's reign, Edward VI, and sought to return England to Roman Catholicism. She repealed the religious laws and reforms that had been introduced during Edward's reign, including the Act of Uniformity, which had established the Church of England as a Protestant church. Mary's efforts to restore Catholicism were met with resistance, and she became known for her persecution of Protestants. Her government burned hundreds of Protestants at the stake for heresy, leading to her lasting reputation as Bloody Mary. Mary's reign also saw England lose control of the French port of Calais, which had been held by the English for over 2 centuries. Elizabeth is briefly imprisoned in the Tower of London for her Protestant beliefs. Mary ascends to the throne. In 1558, Elizabeth's sister Mary passed away, and Elizabeth became the Queen of England. She was just 25 years old when she took the crown. England was in a state of religious turmoil, torn between Catholic and Protestant factions. Elizabeth, a Protestant, worked diligently to establish religious stability and tolerance throughout her reign. Subscribe and you will help me grow my channel. For her intelligence and shrewdness, Queen Elizabeth made wise decisions that strengthened England both domestically and internationally. She encouraged exploration, leading to the expansion of English influence across the world. Elizabeth supported the arts and sciences, fostering a period of great creativity and achievement known as the Elizabethan era. Queen Elizabeth faced many challenges throughout her reign, including threats from other European powers and internal political struggles. But she never wavered. Elizabeth proved to be a master of diplomacy, using her wit and charm to outmaneuver her adversaries. She became known as the Virgin Queen because she never married or had children, which allowed her to focus entirely on her duties as queen. Elizabeth's reign was marked by stability, prosperity, and cultural growth. She was beloved by her subjects, who affectionately referred to her as Good Queen Bess. Her reign became known as the Golden Age of England. In 1588, the Spanish Armada attempted to invade England, but Queen Elizabeth I led her country to victory and saved it from occupation. They attempted to conquer England, but Queen Elizabeth I led her country to victory and saved it from occupation. In her later years, Elizabeth faced a series of personal losses. Elizabeth's health began to decline, And on March 24, 1603, at the age of 69, she peacefully passed away in Richmond Palace. Reign was marked by a number of challenges, including religious conflict, political intrigue, and threats from foreign powers. But Elizabeth's leadership helped to steer England through these difficulties and establish a period of relative stability and prosperity. Today, Elizabeth I is remembered as a symbol of English strength and resilience, and her reign is celebrated as a time of great achievement and progress in English history. If you liked this video and wish for more, please subscribe and tap that bell for more.